So now we're back at the readiness assessment, and remember the defining behavior is, do you understand what you have been asked to do with adjusting your insulin? And this is where you will complete the readiness assessment, and we're going to guide you through how you will know if yes, they are ready, no, they are not ready, or are they ambivalent and not sure which way they're going to go. So the readiness assessment will define the behavior for the patient so that they understand what you are asking them, if they are comfortable doing this. You can go from general to specific, so you can be very specific about what you are asking them to do in relation to adjusting their insulin. And you can say, can I ask several questions about your thoughts on adjusting insulin? When I say adjusting insulin, could I describe what I mean by that? Adjusting insulin means increasing your dose each night by 1 unit until your morning blood sugars are below the target we set together. So, for example, if your sugar was above the target tomorrow morning, then you would know to take 1 extra unit when you next inject that insulin.
So once the behavior has been clearly understood by both yourself and the patient, then you can actually begin to do the formal readiness assessment. And the questions are designed to help draw out where the individual is. So the first question would sound like, if you didn't adjust your insulin, as we've described, would you consider that a problem for you? We're looking for people to acknowledge that their current behavior is not okay. We follow that with the question, if you didn't adjust your insulin as we've described, would that upset or concern you in some way? Here we're looking for that sort of emotional distress element associated with not caring for oneself. Are you interested in adjusting your insulin as we've described? This helps really to identify and lead to specific goals. And are you ready to begin adjusting as we've described at this time? So these are guided questions that are really trying to target and draw out readiness. And in listening to the responses, you might want to let the patient know that you'll be asking 4 questions and then giving some feedback. So the idea here is that we're guiding the patient through. So don't feel that you need to respond to the patient's response at each question. And you listen to the response and you categorize it from the perspective of whether it's a yes response or a not yes response. So we don't listen for no's. And a yes is clear, convincing, with little ambivalence. So you really get the sense that this is exactly where that individual is. And if they are not presenting with that level of surety, then we would consider that to be a not yes. And then we link that to where we go with next steps. Readiness, remember, is a starting point, not the end. So when you've got an idea of where that person is, that's just a guide to tell you where to go next.
So when you're looking at the readiness assessment, and do you understand what you have been asked to do with adjusting your insulin? If they say yes, then develop the action plan, like we had gone over earlier in the previous video, and then you'll go on to the ambivalence or not ready.
So hopefully this is providing some guidance for you as to how to incorporate a readiness assessment into the issue of insulin adjustment.